time, so I'm teaching them to be on time. Great job, everybody. So when 9 o'clock comes, take the bucket.
Okay.
Okay.
Add it.
Did
Pack it
you,
away.
do you need me to make copies or did you
No,
make
I
them?
got 'em.
You did, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, great, have fun. Thanks. I love it. And do you have your flyer? Do you want me to make copies of that?
Let's see how many I have.
Cause I don't know if, go look at, what'd you do to your foot?
Yeah, I have a stress fracture.
Girl,
I don't know.
that's what you get for working out.
I wasn't. That was because of exercise.
See? I don't get hurt sitting on my sofa.
There you go.
I'm not gonna go into this.
I'm just saying that.
What's up?
I don't have.
Let me make some for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another open house, another goose egg. Uh-huh.
No, let's add another one.
Oh, you did the townhouse?
Yeah,
How'd it go?
0 people.
That is so frustrating.
I was yesterday,
What time?
2 to 4.
I like it too.
It's okay, yeah, I mean, it's okay, just went up. Kind of 4 bedrooms tight, like, it's gonna, yeah, plus the neighborhood.
That's the dated one? Oh, no, that was Nate.
Yeah, I know.
Right, just so that they.
Right. You might have to tap the mouse and it probably timed out. Now try it.
Thank you.
I'm just like, oh, no, I'm not using much that's up here. I find some of it useless, that I made my own little stuff, so. Good luck. Yeah. You've been in it and you do it for a while, realize what's useless. Not useless, it's just fluff, I guess.
You're getting
you
to
could
the
say.
meat, the technique.
Yes, yes.
We had the salad once already, so we're okay. We'll take the meat. What this fireplace action, yeah, join on and put it in slide.
No, no.
Thank you.
Let's see, time, not looking in a minute. That's still good.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my. But it's snowing, so I'm gonna- Jesus. Well, the last week, not the last day.
Yeah, there's a bank, yeah, there's a bank.
Well, that's right, it's the next day.
Oh,
I think she's trying to get.
I think, yeah, the, makeup one is this Thursday.
Oh, Thursday?
Yeah, I think, is that right? You have to Monday,
Yeah,
It's
Thursday?
usually Wednesday.
Or maybe it is Wednesday.
I know Peggy was supposed to do the last one. But the waitress was.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Maybe combine the two, the morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah. The
There's a one
makeup
on the,
night is Wednesday, right?
It is. Yep.
Is it 2 in 1? Or we didn't have one on Wednesday?
No, I put it on the Facebook page. Instead of Peggy Wednesday, Ann is Wednesday, and then Peggy's Monday.
Oh,
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was the correct one in the PCR.
Okay.
Okay, you guys, I'm happy to introduce my TC, and she's an agent as well. So she gets the agent life and all the craziness of it, and she's great, she'll keep it nice, right? But she's gonna go through, because it's really important, showing people homes and getting under contract is one thing. This is your skill as a professional and the way you have your system set up and have leverage, will decide how it feels for your client. Now, there are a lot of things we can't control, so control the things you can beautifully, right? And, on average, they say it takes about 8 to 12 hours of doing the work once you get under contract to get to closing. So you either get that time back to put in your business to find the next deal, or back in your life, or some of both. The number one mistake most agents make is, when they get a client under contract, they put all their time and energy into that one. And then when that deal closes, they're sitting there looking around, going, where's the next one? And they have to start the momentum train of lead gen again. Make sure you sign the sign in. We don't need your email or phone number. So using a TC, you don't pay for until the end. I'm sure she'll go over that, but, it is a very good use of your time and leverage. So, and those that were here by 9, did you guys get your name in the drawing bucket? Everybody good? Yes? Yeah. All right, we'll let them add theirs and then we'll do that. Okay? Have fun. Jewel,
All right, thank
take
you.
it away. Yeah, and tell them
Yeah.
your background
Yeah.
and your intro, but
Awesome.
have a good one.
We will.
Y'all are in great hands.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody this morning?
Are they doing the recording?
I think so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
On a Monday morning, but it's such a beautiful fall crisp day. I kind of enjoyed getting out and feeling the cool weather this morning, but I'm happy that all y'all here. I was telling James that last time I taught this class, I had 2 people in person and about 5 or 6 on Zoom, and it was really hard. I told Priscilla. But she asked me to do it again. I was like, is there Zoom? She's like, no, so here I am. I'm happy to be here. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a former teacher. I taught for many years, stayed home with my kids for many years, went back to education, and then got into real estate about 3.5 years ago. I started out as an assistant to an agent at another brokerage. Also did a little bit of sales. And then Patrice actually brought me to KW about 2 years ago. Like she said, I'm an agent, but I just do a little bit of that, do basically family and friends. But when I came to KW, I started doing freelance TC work and found that I enjoy that more. I kind of like the behind the scenes, type of things. And I enjoy working with new agents. I think that's kind of like the teacher in me. I get to teach them how the process works throughout the transaction from ratification to close. And I enjoy that. And my favorite color is hot pink. And I say that because I'm gonna ask you all to introduce yourselves. I know a lot of you probably know each other, but I want you to tell me your name, how long you've been in real estate, how long you've been at KW, and throw in your favorite color. You wanna start, James?
Yeah, sure. My name is James Gresham. I've been in real estate for about 2.5 years now. Come from Remax Commonwealth, transferred over to Keller Williams about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And it's been a fantastic transition. All the learning's been fantastic. And favorite color would have to be red.
Oh, well, then you're in the right place.
Hey, good morning. I'm Arnita Smith. I just got my license, a month ago to be exact. I've been at Keller Williams, of course, this whole time. And my favorite color is blue.
Okay, what was your name again?
Arnita Smith.
Arnita.
Brian O'Loughlin, I have been here for 2 months or so. Got my license in August, and my favorite color is hot pink as well.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome. Love it. All righty.
Josh Taylor, Rule is my TC. Awesome. I'm not the most organized person, but I work great directly with face-to-face stuff, and I suck at everything else pretty much. Or I've got room to improve on everything else. So, it's not that I'm incapable, but Jewel is much better, like, about for how awesome she is. She
Thank
and
you.
my favorite color is on.
Awesome.
Good morning, my name is James Jones, been
Yes, you,
licensed
James.
for a number of years. Been with this office about 6 years.
Okay.
Not as active.
Hmm.
Just trying to get back in and find my way.
All right,
My favorite color is blue, probably blue and navy.
okay. Yeah, all kinds of blue, right?
Not necessarily North Carolina.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Oh.
Sorry.
My name is Stephanie Ford. I have been licensed since the end of May and I started getting colorways right after. Favorite color? I have like 5 of them. I like all
Multicolor.
shades of pink. I love emerald, royal blue, black and white.
Awesome, love that.
All right.
Tough to follow, okay. I'm Mel Henson. I actually started here before I got my license. I started in June, got my license in July. And I'm also an educator turned realtor.
Really?
And my favorite colors are crimson and cream, of course, I'm a Delta, but my favorite color is cognac brown.
Okay, yeah, very specific. Love it, love it, very specific. All right. So who here has closed a transaction? Josh, your hand, yeah. Wonderful, all right. Have either of you had a transaction terminate?
But
Like
really,
release from,
but,
yeah,
no,
Yeah.
we just did, yeah. Yeah,
it's the terminate, yeah.
on as is addendum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those will sometimes do that, yeah. All right, right. Good morning. All right, and your other sessions before this, you've covered like making and receiving offers, and negotiations. So we're gonna move into what happens after all of that, once you're ratified. So TC's work or your work as your own transaction coordinator is to get you from the ratification to close successfully, hopefully. That's always the hope, is that you're gonna get there to the end. Who wants to read the, quote on the board for me?
Real estate transactions are particularly trouble-free. It's a strenuous and trying time that requires all the attention and effort you can command.
What does that mean?
That once it's ratified, the work begins.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work to get to ratification as well, I would argue, but, yeah, I mean, it's not, there's a lot. There's a lot to a real estate transaction. There's a lot to getting clients. There's a lot to getting, to the right house for your clients. It's a lot to win the contract. But it's also a lot, once you hit ratification, the work doesn't stop. So it's a lot from that point forward. But we're gonna go over some, different ways to make it better and to hopefully make it easier for you. And to hopefully get you to the close, because that's the ultimate goal, is to get you to the close. Just as getting a lead doesn't make that person your client, getting a contract doesn't mean that you're gonna close and that you're gonna get paid. So knowing how to manage a transaction will help you see that transaction to the end. All right, the first thing that we're gonna talk about is the players in a transaction. I'm gonna see if I can find a marker to write up on the board with. I don't know if we can use these. Here, this will work. All right, so there's a lot of people involved in transactions. It's not just you and your clients. But we're gonna start with a buyer's transaction. And see if we can list who all is involved in that transaction. Jenny, you start. Lender. Buyer agent. Title company.
The listing agent.
Oh, yes, factor. Appraiser. to say ally for receiving inspector. Razor. My handwriting is horrible, it's not straight down there.
Know-it-all father-in-law.
What was that?
Know-it-all father-in-law.
Yeah, we hope they're not involved.
Closing attorney?
Yep. I'm gonna put that just here, that's the. What about the buyer and the seller? Oh, there. Where'd it go? Oh. All right, another one, HOA contact. All right, out of all of these, if you are the buyer's agent, this is you. Is there anyone on here that you are not gonna have contact with?
Pay the appraiser.
Seller, yep, seller, and probably not the appraiser. The appraiser's gonna give the report to the lender, and the lender's gonna give you the appraiser. But those are the ones that you honor. Who on here is the buyer's agent? Do you need to keep in constant contact with?
Monday.
Sure.
Closing
Seller
attorney.
agent.
Agent? Yep.
Yeah.
What about your buyer?
We forgot the transaction coordinator.
Well, yes, but I'll put it on here, sure. If you have one, yeah. What about, I mean, the buyer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, and then if you have a TC, you should be in constant contact with your TC.
And the buyer.
Yep, and the buyer, yeah. Yeah, so I point that out because I don't want you as the agent to think that, oh, I've got ratified, I've handed my agent over and my buyer over to the lender or the title company that they need to take care of all that. You still should be in constant contact with these people to make sure that things are running smoothly. If you have a TC, some of that contact you don't have to worry about as much. When I do TC work on a transaction, I keep the agents like updated a lot. Like if I talk to the lender or the title or the closing attorney, and they give me information that I think the agent should have, the agent might have it, but I want to make sure they have it. So. Right. So the seller, here the listing side, it's pretty much the same. We'll put all this over here. The seller, you will be in constant contact with, well, not constant contact, but you will be in touch with the lender. If you like have questions, if you want to check in and see, how are things going? Are they moving along? Is everything being done that's supposed to be being done? If you haven't heard from the appraiser, because that's who the appraiser is gonna contact, they're gonna contact the listing agent to set up an appointment for the appraisal. And if you haven't heard from them, then you might reach out to the lender or the buyer's agent or whoever, and say, hey, I haven't heard from the lender. You'll have your own title company or settlement attorney that you'll have to be in constant contact with. This would be you, so you would be the buyer's agent. Contact with them and the seller, and then I guess, again, the TC. But there are a couple of other players that could be part of your, or should be part of your, transaction. If I think of who else you as the listing agent would need to contact, would need to talk to. Think about pre-listing.
Contractor? Contractor.
Stager, contractor, photographer.
Post install people cleaners.
Yeah.
Miss Utilities.
Good, yeah, if you need to see if there's a gas line. All right, so as you can see, so all these people come over here as well. As you can see, there's a lot of people involved in a transaction. And it's your job to stay in contact with all of those people throughout the transaction. Okay, so now that we know all for everyone who's involved, we're going to go through a buyer timeline and a seller timeline. I'm gonna take one and pass it around. This is just a, I don't wanna call it bare bones because there's a lot on it, but it's a checklist that I made just for this class. To kind of talk about the important things that go on during a transaction. And this is yours keeping right on the payments on the. Where I am on, I don't think I'm. These two. There. This is the timeline that the book gives you. I don't know if you guys have the Ignite book, but this is the one that it gives you, but. I personally had a hard time following this, so this is why I made this one. So we'll go down it. On the left column is the tasks that are involved in the transaction. The middle column is timeline, and then I just did a completed, section that you could check off, just to give you an idea, if you wanted to make some type of checklist that you could do it this way. Okay, for a buyer, what's the really, really important thing you need to do right up front as soon as you get ratified? You really need to make sure that that EMD gets turned in. It's important for you to communicate with your buyer that this has to be turned in by the deadline. If it's not, the seller could walk at any point during the transaction. So you want to ensure that the buyer has turned in their EMD and turned it in on time. And make sure that you get a receipt to the listing agent to let them know that it's been turned in. The timeline is per contract, because as you know, in the contract, you could put 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. You know, however long. So you just need to make sure that is turned in right away. Your next step is to you need to send the ratified contract to the seller's agent. You know, once if they're the last one that signed it, then they'll have it. But if like the buyer had to add some initials or something like that, just make sure both you and the listing agent have the ratified contract with all initials, all signatures. The title company or closing attorney that your buyer has chosen, you need to send it to them so that they can start the transaction, and you need to make sure you send it to the lender. If I'm on a time crunch, the lender is the first person I send it to, because they have to get rolling and make sure that everything gets done within the time frame before closing. So there's no timeline on that, but it should be like done as soon as possible. If it's in an HOA community and you're expecting HOA docs, I always ask the listing agent right away, when are they expected? So that you have a time frame to know when they're coming, and also you want to make sure that they've been ordered. Because that's one of the ways that a buyer can get out of a contract if they're not happy with the HOA docs. So you want to know when those are expected so that you can be prepared for your timeline. that one, it used to be the contract said 3 days, but now it looks like it's changed and you put in the amount of days that the buyer has to review, but make sure again, your buyer knows how many days they have to review those HOA docs, because once those days are passed, they can't get out for, if they're not happy with the HOA docs. So make sure they're looking at those and reading through them good. But once, usually the listing agent will send those to you, and then you need to immediately send them to the buyer. So, and let them know their timeline. All right, as the buyer's agent, your next task would be home inspection. Usually agents give buyers, a couple of company choices. Let me, which company do you want to use? Which one looks good to you? And then you need to coordinate your scheduling to get that done as soon as possible. Don't wait on that. Don't put that off. I've had agents that do the inspection like the day before it's the repair request is due. And that's just not, you gotta leave yourself time to get that report. Go over the report with the buyer, give the buyer some time to think about, which of these repairs do I wanna to ask for? And then you gotta give yourself time to write up that addendum and get it signed. Make sure that your buyer knows how important it is for you to get that repair request in on time. And that when you send it to them, the addendum to them to sign, if you're asking for repairs, let them know I need this back by this day at this time. Cause that will give yourself enough time to get it to the listing agent. So again, that timeline is per contract. Depends on what you put in there, how many days, but just allow yourself enough time to get the inspection done, go over the report, figure out repairs, write an addendum, and get it to the listing agent on time. So then that's where we are at send repairs request to the seller's agent, and then always confirm receipt. It's always good to, when you're sending something, to have somebody confirm receipt that they received it. And then you have it in writing that they got it and they got it on time. The listing agent then has 7 days from the time from the day you submitted it, the repairs request to them, they have 7 days to respond to you. So they have 7 days to take that repair request to their seller, go over it with them, decide, which repairs they're gonna agree to or not, or if they're gonna choose to offer a seller credit instead. But they have 7 days to get back to you. As a TC, if I haven't heard back in 5-6 days, I'll usually reach out, check in, be ready. And then if there are repairs that have been agreed upon, then you want to make sure you get receipts for those repairs 3 days before closing. Because you'll need to take those receipts and look at them up against the repair request and make sure everything on the repair request has been completed. There's been multiple times where I've done that and I've had to go back to the listing agent and say, I don't see a receipt for this. And they realize it didn't get done. So you want to give them time to get it done before closing. I usually start asking for receipts about 5 days before closing, just to see if they have everything done, just haven't gotten it to me, or if they have a few, they could go ahead and send it to me, because some of these repair requests are extensive. And so it takes time to, go through each one and make sure they were all done. All right, so that's the home inspection.
May I ask a question?
Sure, yeah, y'all can stop me anytime to ask questions.
So when you're seeking repair receipts,
Mhm.
when do you wait for verification of the actual work, all on the walkthrough, or what exactly? You should have a receipt, it was checked off, but how do you verify? Do you wait for
Yeah, usually the
walkthrough?
walkthrough is when, people,
Do you allow time for a reinspection? How does that time frame work for you?
I have never had a reinspection done. Usually the receipts and the walkthrough are are sufficient. I guess if it's extensive work, I actually had a repair request, but this one terminated just yesterday, but I had a repair request. I was TC for it. It wasn't my deal, but, where I saw in the repair request that it said, evidently the county had to do some inspection for things, repairs that were being done. And so it asked for it to be in time for a county inspection to be done. So that's something you could negotiate, I guess, if you wanted to have a reinspection done. You could add, maybe in the repair request, have all repairs done by X day
Understood.
so that I could have a reinspection done.
Because some people do shoddy work.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's where in your repair request, you can put by a licensed and insured contractor. Some people will fight back on that, will cross that off and say, I've got my own people to do this, and that's up to you and the buyer, whether you wanna accept that or not.
Understood, thank you.
All right, appraisal. You don't do a lot as a buyer's agent, you don't do a lot with the appraisal, but a timeline that you need to know is that it is to be ordered within 15 days of ratification. It says that in the contract. So most of the time that's gonna be taken care of. A lot of agents that I work with ask the lenders not to order the appraisal until after inspection negotiations. Because the buyer pays for the appraisal. And if they can't agree on inspection repairs, the negotiations with inspection repairs, then they don't want the buyer to pay for an appraisal that they're gonna terminate the contract on. So most of the ones that I work with ask the lenders not to order that. So then it's up to you or your TC to let the lender know, okay, we're through negotiations. You can go ahead and order the appraisal. So again, that's another reason to get your inspection done early and kind of get the negotiations rolling. So that those can be taken care of, so that you can then go ahead and get the appraisal ordered, so that it comes back in time. In case there needs to be any negotiations on that. But basically, you gotta make sure it's done ordered within 15 days, and then you see the appraisal results. There could possibly be some negotiations after that. Well, and septic and termite inspection, I'm just gonna kind of lump those together. Because those are not the responsibility of the buyer, unless it's an as-is addendum. It's the seller's responsibility to get those taken care of. Your well and septic inspection has to be current within 90 days of closing. So you need to check the date when you get those inspections and make sure those are within that time frame. Your termite inspection needs to be within 30 days of closing. And that's another one, that agents don't order because it has to be within 30 days. And if this, I'm kind of getting off track now. I'm in the seller's side, but sellers agents don't order that because, it might terminate, and then it goes back on the market and it's there longer than 30 days and they gotta redo the term. So anyhow, that probably, I don't ask for that as the buyer's agent TC. I don't ask for that inspection until probably a week and a half before closing, because I know that listing agents wait to get those ordered. Inspection, well and septic. They don't have to go, those reports don't have to go. Of course, you gotta send it to your buyer, if your buyer wants it. Your termite inspection needs to go to the title or closing attorney and the lender. You need to make sure you send those once you receive that. Am I going too fast? Are we good?
Didn't you say the well and septic agent?
The well and septic does not need to go to Linda or. Oh,
So just a concern when it goes to.
Yeah.
Closing.
Yeah. All right, home warranty. If it's being paid for by the buyer, then you or the buyer need to place that order. And then you need to send the invoice to title or closing attorney. Anything that is an invoice that needs to be paid at closing, home inspections, some of those, they'll let you pay at closing. So you need to make sure that invoice goes to title and closing attorney. Make sure it goes on the CD. All right, then we're at the end of the transaction. And you will need to schedule the walkthrough and the closing. You have to coordinate that with your buyers, with the listing agent as well, if it's not a vacant home, if people are still living there. Then you need to coordinate that with listing agent to make sure the sellers are good with when you wanna come do that walkthrough. And then you need to get closing on the calendar as well. The title company will send you the closing disclosure prior to closing. So you need to look over that, make sure the purchase price is correct, make sure seller credits are on there. Any invoices that you sent them that are being paid at closing, make sure your commission is correct. And then the buyer will also be reviewing that and looking over it and making sure all numbers are correct for them as well. And at some point during this transaction, you have to go into command and you need to make your opportunity, put in the information for that. You need to upload all of your documents in there, submit for compliance to look at it and approve. But keep checking back. Once you do that, keep checking back because there could be times when they're gonna return something. And you need to get it fixed and get it back in there to submit it again. And then manage your commission and command. Have y'all had the command class? Yeah. Yeah. It can be a little daunting at first. It can be a little confusing, but once you start doing it, I do it a lot because I'm TC. And that's part of what I offer is uploading all documents and submitting them, making sure they're compliant and managing the commission.
I get to do it two places, transaction desk and uploading documents.
Well, your documents are being managed in transaction desk. Yes.
That's one area she's helped me a lot, is command. I'm not a brand new agent, but I was on a team that had a team admin and we also did music. So I had absolutely zero command experience. And then I jumped in as a solo agent and immediately had stuff under contract. I had never used command and I had a lot of the, what is command what genre of software is it? CRM. My previous CRM, sorry. Thank you. Were partially managed by the admin. So I kind of got a little lazy with that and it wasn't even doing my part all the time. So I had came in with zero command knowledge and the very bad habits of not really doing what I need to do in CRM, period. And so like I wasn't good at negotiation, we've got some pretty massive credits and got a new roof for somebody and everything, but like I didn't know how to even enter my pay or enter a transaction or anything. And you all have been
TC, do you have access? You have to use their login and you get like a TC.
I use their login. And some agents, all my agents give me their command to log in. But some give me their MLS and some don't. It's just preference. If you want me to do addendums and send off for signatures or not, but if you're willing to, do that yourself, that's fine. All right, any questions on the buyer transaction? Did all that make sense? I will tell you that these checklists are minimal. I have checklists that I put every little task on there. And so there's more to a transaction, and you know, as you do them, you'll find out little things that need to be done, little, I write, see, I'm a paper girl, as you can tell. I know some DCs have like all their stuff in a computer, but I'm constantly writing on my checklists, reminders to myself. Like if I haven't gotten something back, I have to write a reminder, circle back. I mean, that is a good portion of my job is circling back. That's my favorite phrase in emails. Just circling back. Can you send me that addendum that I sent you? We need signatures. So you'll find as you go through that there'll be more to the transaction. This is like the bare minimum. Right, this is the seller timeline. It's much like the buyer, but we'll go through that one as well, because there's a little bit things that you as the listing agent need to do that you don't need to do as buyer's agent.
I was helping another agent out and they asked for the, like, information on well and septic. What is that? What do they typically ask for in the information? Like, whatever it's small or inspected or?
Well, it would depend. Now you have to get a septic permit. Yeah, you have to get a copy of the septic permit, for every transaction now.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you're getting whenever you have a listing. that-
Trying to save time, but
Thank
can't peel off a single.
you.
So I'd love to drive there. Well, all these documents, my home is right.
Right, yeah, yeah,
I start taking pictures of everything.
yes.
How's that been with the new, criteria or requirement for certification of well and septic? How has that been?
I have had one transaction recently that had a septic, and all the agent did was email the county department, health department, I think it was, and asked for the permit, and we had it within the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Heard so many different stories about timelines.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that it could take a few days, up to maybe a week to get the permit.
I guess it's been like that.
This was Chesterfield County, and like I said, I was surprised when it came through that same day, and that's all that the septic company needed. I sent that to them, and they were like, okay, this is all we need. Yeah, so it wasn't, yeah. Mhm. All right, let's look at the seller transaction. You do need to make sure the EMD is turned in, but I didn't put that at the very top because there's gonna be a time frame where you're waiting for that EMD to be turned in. It's not your responsibility to make sure that EMD is turned in. That's the buyer's agent, but you do want to get a receipt from the buyer's agent saying so it's confirmation that has been turned in. But you do need to make sure you send the ratified contract back to the buyer's agent. And you also need to send it to the title company or closing attorney and the seller. As far as ordering HOA docs, that's really important that you get those ordered because you want the buyer to look at these HOA docs as soon as possible, because it is one of the ways that a buyer can say, I don't like what's in the HOA docs, so I'm out. And you want to get that over with as early in the transaction as you can. I mean, it's really an agent preference when you order those. I have some agents that order it like right before they put it on the market, if they know that it's like gonna go fast, but nowadays, I don't know, that that's a sure thing in anywhere, it just depends. So a lot of them wait until it becomes ratified, and then they place the order, and then they usually takes about 2 weeks. Why? I don't know, I think it's just like a little button you push, here's the docs. But sometimes, sometimes it won't, those HOA docs won't come until that day that they say it's coming.
Random question. How often do the HOA packets like change? If I order it like 30 days in advance, is it possible to
The financials could change. Yeah,
you would have to stay like
yeah,
pretty close to the?
yeah, you do want to stay pretty close to the transaction, yeah. I mean, if you feel certain about the sale, I would maybe order it like as soon as it goes on the market. I don't know that I'd order it earlier than that.
HOA financials, don't they usually only good for 30 days?
Yeah, that's why I said they could change. The title company always orders an updated financial. Yeah. Yeah. And then again, the buyers can have whatever time the buyer's agent puts in the contract to review the HOA docs. I had one agent recently put 1 day. I guess the buyers were like, okay, well, we can look over it in 1 day. It's fine. The home inspection, the buyer's agent's gonna schedule that. If there is someone living in the home though, you'll need to check with the seller, make sure that it works, the time and day works for them. I found that most of them are pretty agreeable. Then you need to make sure you receive the inspection repairs request for the contract. If it's 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, make sure you're keeping track of that, because if they don't turn that repair request in that time frame, then they, you know, you don't have to honor those requests. If they're late, then that says we're not gonna ask for any repairs. And then you have 7 days, once you receive the repair request from the buyer's agent, you have 7 days to go over it with the seller and decide which ones you're gonna agree with. I know a lot of sellers will get contractors out there and get quotes and decide, you know, what they are willing to repair and what they're not. And some of them just say, you know, get quotes and then add up that quote and say, I'll give you this certain amount of money. May not be the total that's on the quote, but a, you know, good amount. And you deal with the repairs. So it's really up to the seller, but you have 7 days to figure all that out and respond back to the buyer's agent. And then you need to make sure you're coordinating repairs with seller. You may have people that you're sending in there to do the repairs for the seller. Some sellers take it on themselves and handle it all, but you just need to make sure that they're getting it taken care of. And have all receipts to you again, so that you can send them to the buyer's agent within 3 days, usually, so within 3 days of closing, so they can look those over and make sure all repairs have been done. Appraisal, again, needs to be ordered within 15 days of ratification. You do want to make sure that that's been ordered on time. And then you'll know, because the appraiser will reach out to you or through showing time. But they have to coordinate with you when they're gonna go to the home. So you should know. So if you haven't heard from an appraiser in like 10 days, you should probably be checking with the lender or the buyer's agent and say, I haven't heard from the appraiser. Has it been ordered? And if it has, then they can put a bug in the appraiser's ear to go ahead and get that scheduled. But that's a timeline that you need to. I know as a listing agent, you think, well, that's the buyer's responsibility, but you want to make sure it's getting done on time so that your closing can happen on time. Then for the listing agents, the well and septic inspections and termite inspections are your seller's responsibilities. They have to pay for those, again, unless it's an as-is addendum. They are responsible, to pay for those and to get those scheduled. Septic. Let me see, trying to think of when I scheduled that recent, so actually it's happening tomorrow, septic inspection happening tomorrow, but I think I called 2 weeks ago. And they were booked up for 2 weeks. So don't wait, especially now that there's a 90-day window on that. I mean, I understand if you wanna wait in case, something happens, but go ahead and get it on the calendar. Go ahead and call those well and septic companies and ask them what they have available and give them, a time frame that like maybe 3 weeks so that if anything happens with negotiations and spare inspection repairs, you can cancel that appointment. Yes.
Do we have any well and septic inspection companies that you deal with that are all qualified under the new rules?
Yes, I've done work with certified well and septic.
Certified well?
Yes. There's another one that was referred to me recently when I was scheduling this septic. I think it was called Septic Doctor. They were a little bit more expensive than certified.
I've used All-Star for the.
Yeah, I mean, there's several out there. That's what, if you're looking for inspectors or for well, subject, home, whatever, you put it on the KW Facebook page, people are pretty good about responding with referrals.
Was there something when you said certified well and septic?
In Septic Doctor,
Septic. doctor.
Matthews Well is good for wells, they don't do septic. They're
Right.
Good for
I'm
wells.
sorry. say it
I've
again.
used them before,
Matthews Well, they're a fantastic well company.
but they only
Ladies
do
in the front
wells.
office will bend over backwards. They're awesome.
They only do wells, though.
Yeah, they only
They
do
don't do
wells.
septic. But it's worth calling to compare well prices. Yeah, it's good to call around and get prices, yeah. And what was the one you said, Josh?
All-Star.
All-Star Septic?
All-Star does, I don't think All-Star does well installation, but they do well, testing, like the, water inspection,
Mm-hmm.
pressure tests, and they're good for well and septic or closing, just not installation. Installation you will use.
Yeah. Good to call around and get prices. Okay, so on here I said this, you have to obtain the septic permit from the county to send to the septic company. Certified would put us on the calendar, but they would not confirm it until they had the permit. But they went ahead and put us on the calendar. And as soon as I got the permit to her, she said it was confirmed. But, I imagine that might be the same in most companies nowadays. You need to coordinate the inspection appointment with the sellers. They do, they're working outside. However, I have heard of one where the septic inspector asked the toilets to be flush. So you need to have somebody home just in case they need that type of thing. So coordinate that with the sellers or the listing agent. You're paying the inspection report and then you want to forward the invoice to the title company or closing attorney. Because most of the time those are paid at closing. And then forward the results to the buyer's agent. For termite, you've got that 30-day window, so it's a little bit tighter, so you kind of want to, you could contact the termite inspector and get on the calendar as well, but further out, closer, I would say about a week and a half, 2 weeks from closing. Their turnaround on their reports is really fast. Usually inspection's done one day and I have a report by the next morning. So they're very quick with their turnaround. So you could wait like a week and a half before closing to get that. again, coordinate inspection with the seller if anybody's home, because they do need to come inside the house. However, you can either, some inspectors, depending on the company, have access to Century Lock, and they can use Century Lock box, or you can give them a 1-day code. So but they need to get inside the house, whether someone's home or not. So you want to get the inspection report, you want to forward that report to the, buyer's agent and title the invoice as well, to make sure that is on the CD to be paid at closing. Any question on inspections? Yes.
So besides the regular inspection, so the buyer is responsible for termite inspection?
The seller is responsible for termite and well and septic.
Okay.
Yes, the buyer is only responsible for the home inspection.
Okay, and then the appraisal as well.
Yes, and appraisal as well. Yep. Yep. All right, home warranty, if it's being paid for by the seller, then, I usually ask, as a TC, I usually ask the listing agent, are you gonna order this, or do you want me to order it? Most of the time they'll say they'll order it. Sometimes they'll ask me to, it just depends. But you can usually do that online. And you'll order that and then submit the invoice to title company or closing attorney to be paid at closing. And the reason I keep saying that is because it's really important for them to have all these invoices. I have forgotten, and you get the CD and you're like, wait, where's this invoice? And then they're like, well, I never got it. So then you have to send the invoice and they have to change the CD and send it back out to everybody. So when you get an invoice, just ask yourself, is this being paid at closing? And if it is, make sure it gets to the title. And any addendums, that have money involved need to go to the lender. They need that. And then on the back of this page, it's the same thing as we have with the buyer. The only difference is you're not doing a walkthrough, you're not scheduling a walkthrough, but you are scheduling the signing of the closing documents for the seller, and the seller signs before the buyer. So the seller usually signs a couple days before the buyers. So when you get a closing date, that closing date is for the buyer. That's when the buyer is closing and signing all the documents. The seller needs to sign a couple days before that. Review the closing disclosure really good. Upload all documents to command, submit for compliance, and manage commission. So as you see, there's a lot of the same things. But that's why I have 2 different checklists, because there are differences in what you're doing for each transaction. But the timelines are really important. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about that just a bit. I'm gonna take a break. You guys wanna be back? It's about 6 minutes to 10, so be back at 10. Okay, good.
Oh. Man.
Monday morning.
It's a Monday, stay awake this one.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Nice haircut.
Thank you.
Did you request that or did you guys sit down? I got something for you.
No, man, I got one girl cuts my hair.
Really?
That's it.
Good job,
Yeah.
man. Sit down.
I finally found one who actually knows how to cut my hair and use anybody else. I know that sounds weird, but. You gonna touch on the inspection timeline? And, you gotta have 7 days. And then But I had an agent one time tell me, oh, I get 7 days, and then each time we agree on something, we get 2 more days and 2 more days and 2 more days, and it's not. Cause there's like a 7 day period and a negotiation period,
For the,
and then if you don't agree, there's a 2 day termination. Somebody has the right to terminate within 2 days. She didn't understand the contract, and she
So-
tried to say, oh, no, I got 2 more days. No, you don't.
is she a listing agent or a buyer?
She's a very experienced agent. She does both.
Oh. So you're saying like, you get the repair request in and then there's 7 days?
And then you get the 7 day negotiation period.
Yeah.
But that 7 day negotiation period is a 7 day negotiation period. It's not a 7 days and then I agree on something, I get 2 more days, and then we agree on something, we get 2 more days. No, it's gotta be done within that 7 day window,
Right.
unless you write an addendum that says we're gonna extend the inspection period.
Hmm.
She didn't understand that.
Right, yeah.
She,
Well, I think because, I've seen many negotiations go over that, they
Mhm.
just keep negotiating. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're right.
Even
but the
over
buyer,
even over that 7 days.
buyer has the right to terminate up to 2 days after that 7 day period. Luckily, my clients agreed.
Hmm.
And we also, in the same deal, we wrote in the contract specifically that all repairs must be done by a licensed contractor, and they agreed to it.
Yeah,
And then when
And
they
that's right.
sent the bill, there was, the guy let his license lapse, since he was no longer a licensed contractor.
oh, wow.
And she goes, well, it's not my job to check and make sure he's licensed. I said,
Yeah,
yes,
it
it is, honey. It's your job,
Yeah.
not mine.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
you have agents try to pull fast stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Truth be told, some of them really don't know.
They don't have a clue.
Mhm.
There's,
And there are some integrity issues with some agents.
yeah, a lot of agents forget that they're supposed to act in their client's best interest,
Mhm.
so. Just horror stories.
I'm gonna pull up the contract right now because I have not heard that today, but I don't doubt you.
It should be,
An inspection section.
but let me pull up the message. It's 7 days and then a 2 day right to terminate if
Seller shall respond in writing to purchase repair receipt within, a repair request within 7 days. If seller agrees in writing, party shall receive settlement. If seller does not respond in writing, then in the negotiation period, then seller shall be deemed to have rejected repair requests.
Yeah.
Not accepted by seller, the parties may continue to negotiate the terms of the repair request during the negotiation period.
that's during that 7 day period, yeah.
No, because it says that the seller has 7 days to respond. Let's see, negotiation. See, I've always had it, and the agents that I've worked with have always had it that they just need to have that back within 7 days, and then they can negotiate further. I'm trying to find where it says 2 days.
Where is it? It may have changed it. Residential purchase.
Okay, so it says if by 5 p.m. on the 7th day of the negotiation period, no final agreement is reached as to the repair request, the purchaser shall have until 5 p.m. on the second day after the end of the negotiation period to either terminate this agreement or
Proceed.
accept in writing seller's last offer. Second day after which.
The second day after the 7 day window closes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if I pick your brain for a second, what?
I can help if I can.
I'll make this contract.
Oh, don't you worry about it, I'm sorry, I'm fucking dating.
It's very important.
That doesn't already.
It's just a generalization that the inspector gives you on the report,
Completed the process.
and I usually go with mid-range
Okay,
price of
okay.
what he suggests.
Okay.
If I'm asking for a credit,
Right.
if I'm not asking for credit, I'm asking for repairs, I'm just gonna say, we want these repaired. But with the repair addendum, you can rest repairs and credits,
Okay.
so you don't have to do one or the other, you can do both if you want.
We can do both if we want.
Yep.
Either figure out.
I went to school hard knocks, I had some nasty transactions.
Yeah, that's an automated thing.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. We sure is gonna be my girl. Got me a new TC.
See, Remax never had that option. I would have had to hire my own, so it was kind of good in a way as a new agent, because I was
Well-
forced to learn the contract.
It was recommended, it was recommended
But
that.
I would rather you, the transaction coordinator.
On the first one, if you're gonna do it, so you can learn the ins and outs of the whole process.
Yeah, because you have to be able to hold the other side accountable.
I know, I got carried in competition, I'm gonna run the rest of them real quick, so I need. Only on my break.
Hey, pretty,
So I was at the house, I was doing the open house yesterday,
okay,
to
which one?
see what they did at Young's.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was okay.
Anybody stop by?
Yeah, actually, they reached out by, pretty much as soon as I got there, they have their own agent, so, but they were definitely inspecting the whole house, so they were definitely.
Did they clear out that deck?
Did they what?
Did they clean that deck?
I
They
mean,
did? Okay. But
it looked clean enough to me.
Okay, no, it looked clean enough then, cause it had so much sticks and shrubs that were dead and leaves that I'm like,
Oh, okay, but then it was clean then,
yeah, good.
but it was pretty windy. I kept like the sliding door open a little bit. You know, kind of, I don't think the AC was on. Or the- I didn't want to mess with that. So it was
I tell you what, I'm not gonna be,
something.
I'm not gonna listen.
It's not a bad area.
Mm,
Lots of land space. Quiet neighborhood,
Good for a first time.
yeah, for that one, just used to. I don't know,
But you see how inviting DR Horton is across the street?
Yeah.
You see, I mean, like, it's like, what's that I'm saying?
right.
I'm gonna make this right. So it's all like new, everything is new. And it's like directly across the street.
48 or whatever.
It sounds good. Who's gonna see it? Oh, sorry. James? No, you're not.
All right, we're gonna go into, documents. All right, so we've gone over the timelines. Now, we need to talk about all the documents that are involved in a transaction. I'm not gonna go through each one, but I just want to try and list as many as we can, so that you can kind of get an idea. So start throwing out some documents that we are involved in a transaction. Listing agreement,
First off.
yep, purchase offer, purchase agreement, addendums. Yeah,
All of it.
I mean, they can be like repair request addendums, they can just be addendums to purchase agreements, they can be addendums to listing agreements.
Residential property disclosure, summary residential property disclosure,
Yep.
affiliated business disclosures.
Yep.
Receipts and invoices.
HOA docs,
Say again,
HOA docs.
HOA dot,
Right up.
exclusive right to represent buyer, buyer agreement, lead-based paint. Add this addendum, coming soon addendum. Escalation addendum.
Yeah, escalation addendum,
Yeah.
lead-based paint.
Bill of sale.
Yeah.
Designate agency. You see, there's a lot of documents, involved in a transaction. And it's your job to make sure you know and are familiar with each of these documents and make sure that you know which signatures need to be on each document. And if you have an addendum, and then there's a small change made on that addendum, say like a date, like the agent who wrote the addendum accidentally wrote the 22nd instead of the 23rd. And everybody signed it, and then somebody caught it, so they're like, okay, well, let's just go back and mark off the 22nd and put 23rd. Is that what needs to happen next? Initials, yeah. You can make a small change like that and just make sure you get all the initials.
There's need to be a written something like that, or initials is accepted.
Usually it's just if it's crossed out and changed, just initials. So, yeah. And any of the, and I think I mentioned this before, but any of these addendums that have money with them, like, seller credit is added, those need to go to the lender. A bill of sale would need to go to the lender. Anything with money, the lender needs to have. The ones with money also have to go to the title company or the closing attorney. Make sure they have all they need on the CD. Make sure all that is included, and then make, I'm not talking to you, stop.
Seriously, all in this.
I know. Yeah, so just make sure you're also following up on all these addendums. Make sure you, like I said, on my transaction checklist, I write little notes to remind myself I need to get that addendum back, or I need to get that bill of sale back. Took me 2 weeks to get a bill of sale back from a listing agent just recently. So if I hadn't had that written on I could have easily forgotten about it. So, make lots of notes. Make sure you don't forget about those things. Communication. There are lots of deadlines that we need to make sure that we are communicating, especially with our buyers and sellers. One, I just had a debate with an agent recently on this. The way that you count your days on your deadlines. You start counting the day after ratification. Okay. That can be confusing. The agent thought that they needed to count the day of ratification, and they were freaking out because their buyer hadn't done something within the time. I was like, wait, you have another day. I promise you have another day. It's okay. We'll do it. But, so for example, for an inspection deadline, if you have given 7 days for the repair request and it's ratified on the 17th, what day is the repair request due? The 14th.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
17.
On the 7th.
Uh-huh,
So you start counting
the day after.
at the day
Oh,
after.
okay, so the 17.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the EMD is another one. Make sure that you let the buyer know, tell them what the day it's due. Don't just say, oh, you have 5 days. you need to tell them it's due this date. But make sure if they're wiring, they know that it takes 24 hours for a wire to reach the title company. They can send you a confirmation that they've sent the wire, and you could send that on to the listing agent, but it's best practice to have it at the title company and within the day that it's due. I have one, that just this morning emailed and said their MD is due today, so they wanted to wire. But ask confirmation from them so that I can send to the listing agent saying they wired it, you know. But that happens a lot. And buyers just don't, I think, don't understand how important this is, that if they don't get this turned in, the seller can just walk away for any reason at any time. So it's really important that you communicate with the buyers on all of these timelines and when you need things back and returned from them. And signed by them. It's just really important. And then HOA docs is another one. Make sure that they know this is the day you have to tell me that you're okay with these HOA docs, or if you're not okay with the HOA docs. Inspection repairs requests, make sure they know that they need to get the addendum signed. You know, not at midnight on the day it's due. It needs to be turned into the listing agent on the day that it's due.
Now, are the HOA docs the same way as EMD or repair request? You start counting the day after?
Yeah. That was the debate I just had recently.
Okay,
You
yeah.
said that, yeah.
I got an agent last closing I had said, no, it starts 72 hours from the date you acknowledge receipt. I was like, I don't think so, but we'll play by your rules just in case.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that you count the next
Start the next day,
but I'll tell
yeah.
you a little secret. When I get HOA docs, if it's late in the day, I ignore the email. until the
Right,
next
and until the
morning.
next morning, yeah,
And then I say received and immediately send it to and so if it's 3 days, I tell them they have that day, that morning, that day, plus 2 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they can't count it until I say I received it.
right, right.
Um. So you just need to make sure you stay in contact with your clients, stay in contact with the closing attorneys, stay in contact with lenders, stay in contact with the agent on the other side of the transaction. Communication is huge in a real estate transaction. Now, there are gonna be days, you know, there are gonna be kind of lulls, like especially like within the inspection period time where you're just waiting for them to have the inspection and to get back to you if you're a listing agent or, so, you know, there are gonna be times, but just make sure you're on top of the dates that you need to be on top of. Having a TC can help take care of some of that, because as a TC, that's my job. Deadlines is my job. Is to make sure, and sometimes I feel like people think I'm annoying them, but I am constantly sending a file check, you know, making sure are we on time to close on this? You know, I have gotten so I even send an email to the lender because the loan application has to be done within 7 days of ratification, and I send an email to the lender and say, did they complete their loan application? And the reason I do that now is because I had a transaction where I think it was the buyer, and I was the agent from MTC to the buyer's agent, and we got about 15 days or more. I mean, it was far into the transaction, and found out the buyer had not completed the loan application.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. It was shocking
Or
to me.
ratified contract.
Yes,
That hadn't been done prior.
right. Well, it was shocking to me as well that the buyer's agent didn't stay on top of that, you know? Right.
Listen.
Right.
And the lender didn't stay on top of it. So I added it to my list of tasks. So like I said, these tasks that I just gave y'all, there's many more that I do within there. So I reach out and make sure that loan applications have been completed. And I think if I remember correctly, that transaction, the closing had to be pushed back because of it. And the listing agent wasn't happy. Luckily, the seller went along with it and was like, oh, okay, what can I do at this point?
Really scary because anything could happen.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking like, I'm thinking about that, I'm putting that on the listing agent too, though.
Or just to.
Should have called so when I'm lucky to get listings,
Mhm.
I literally call the lender and question the process and depth of the approval. I
Mhm.
just approved an approval letter
Right.
with an offer that I've accepted, and a loan application hasn't been completed,
Mhm.
which means you haven't verified any documents whatsoever.
Mhm.
You've just taken a verbal application apparently,
Well, that's what they do for pre-approval, yeah.
which is really an issue because you really need to know, because if you're working on the best interest of your seller, and then you get this contract and it ends up falling out, Lord knows what would have happened during that 14-day period that you just mentioned,
Mhm.
where they put pen to paper.
Right.
And so it just becomes really prudent to have a conversation with the lender
Right.
to see,
Yeah.
just based on what you're sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had a transaction terminate because in the end, the buyer did not qualify. Yeah. I know.
That's a bad look for you as a listing agent.
Mhm. Yeah.
Say less.
Yeah. So again, communication, it's all about communication. And like I said, the TC can take some of this from you. But you cannot just drop the transaction in a TC's lap and think you're hands off. You have to keep in communication as well. And that's really important. And also within your communication, prompt responses to emails and texts goes such a long way. If people have to wait days to get answers from you, I just don't think it's a good look. So you need to be able to stay on top of your emails. Because there's a lot of emails. I mean, probably when I leave teaching this class this morning, I will probably have 20 emails that I have to go through and do something with.
How many agents do you have?
Gosh, right now I have. I probably have 7 to 8 right now. They don't all have contracts at the moment. It's a slower time.
At one point in time, you might be getting all of these time items for up to 7.
I've had up to 25 transactions in 1 month. Before.
I wonder how transaction coordinators do that, because if one agent
Yeah.
has a hard time trying to keep, that together, how do we manage that?
Well, I'm not also doing showings and lead gen and listing appointments and buyer's appointments. I do that a little. I don't do lead gen. I just do basically, I sell for friends and family. But this summer, I had 2 listings at the same time, which is, I've never had 2 transactions at the same time as an agent. And I had 2 listings at the same time and I was doing TC work. My daughter was home from college and didn't have a job. I was like, honey, now you're my assistant.
Spend time there.
That's right. Yeah, it was. We had a good summer together. But yeah, I have managed, I think 25, my highest, in 1 month. And I will, a little bit down here, I'll tell you one of my secrets to how I keep all that straight. Okay, this goes without saying, there's so many ways to communicate: email, text, phone. It is important though, if a transaction is becoming difficult, whether it be a buyer or seller that's being difficult, or the agent on the other side, it's really important that you keep documentation. So I do a lot of email. Email is my first line of communication. If I've emailed a couple of times and I'm not getting a response, then I will go to text. And if I have to, I will go to a phone call. Not that because I don't want to talk to people, it's because I need documentation. Because there are times when people come back to me and say, did you do this? Did you do that? Well, I go back in my email And I look and I can say, yep, this was sent on this date. I sent this to you on this date. Yeah. So it is important. And then make sure you are copying TCs and assistants. Whether it be your TC or assistant or the other agent's TC or assistant. There's so many times I reach out to my agents for information. They're like, well, didn't you see that email? And then they look back and they're like, oh my God, you weren't on it. They didn't include you on it. So it's really important. I have a contract information form that I fill out for every transaction that I work. And it has all the parties that I'm in communication with and their assistants and TCs. Because lenders are infamous for having a team of 5 people that you're supposed to copy on emails. And so I put all parties in that contract information form. And whenever I go to start an email, I look at that to see who I need to copy. So make sure you're copying all parties, assistants, lender teams. Sometimes with a title company, you might have more than one person that you need to include. And then when you're communicating, sometimes you're gonna come upon an agent who's not nice. But stay professional. You be the better person. I know sometimes it's not easy, but you be the better person and stay professional and stay calm in all of your communication. All right. Well, right, it's your job to be the fiduciary. You always act in your client's best interest, even when it seems to conflict with your own. I have had difficult clients before I even had the agent on the other side say to me, wow, she's really difficult, isn't she? Meaning my client. So it's hard sometimes, but you have to do what they want, what is best for them, what works best for them. This specific client did not want to pay any buyer's agent commission. We finally negotiated back and forth and got her to pay a little bit, but and that's tough because if you're a buyer's agent and a listing agent, you know how important those roles are. And you as a buyer's agent, you know, your buyers are already paying a lot of money to pay. So it's tough to negotiate that, but I had to go with what she was best for her. So. All right, let's talk about ways to keep the deal together. What are some of the reasons a deal can fall apart? Finances. Again, we just talked about the lender into the transaction, they didn't qualify, ended up they didn't qualify. Inspections are a big one. That is, yeah, that's a major one.
Not meeting deadlines,
Not meeting deadlines. Yep.
buying expensive.
That will cause them to not qualify. Yep.
Military leverage training.
Okay.
Right, relationships change.
Yeah, our relationship change, yeah.
I got that.
Yep. Late EMDs. HOA docs. You know, not liking something that's in the HOA docs. Those are the big ones
I
that.
did have a question
payers-
regarding EMD.
Yeah.
Just for practical purposes. So if I miss the EMD deadline, technically the contract can be terminated.
Mhm.
That's if you probably had another offer that was higher
Right.
that you wanted to consider, but in the transaction, you can just do an addendum to extend
Yes,
the acceptance of the EMD.
you can,
Doesn't mean that all is lost.
right.
I just wanted to provide, just wanted.
Yeah. And I just recently, a TC job that I did, this is an agent at another brokerage, because I do some agents at a different brokerage. So the EMD was due on Sunday. I don't like that the contract doesn't say business days. That's one of my soapboxes. I just really think it should say business days. Because you can't do anything on a weekend. Title can't accept it, can't receive it on a weekend. You know what I mean? Anyhow, so it was due on a Sunday. And the client initiated the wire on Sunday. So, I mean, it was initiated, but when we got the receipt from title, it was dated for the next day. Nobody said anything at all during that. I mean, the listing agent didn't say a word when I sent them I think they were just happy it was turned in, you know? But compliance sent it back and said, this was a day late. You need to write an addendum that states that it was extended a day later. Luckily, everybody in the transaction was very agreeable. The listing agent was fine and the sellers were fine and signed it, you know what I mean? But that's why it's just really important that you make sure that it's turned in on time. I mean, it wouldn't have canceled or terminated the transaction. But we also have to think about when we're doing all these documents and when we're getting signatures and initials and dates on documents, that it's going through compliance. And it has to be right.
No
for
question, it does leave you vulnerable, but there is some solutions. Nice.
Yes, like the addendums that can be, yeah, they can, fixes that, yeah, yep. The command allows you to, oh wait, I skipped a part. We talked about ways that it can fall apart. Some good suggestions for having the best chance to keep a deal alive and getting it to closing. One is to make sure that you're pricing the home reasonably in a listing, or also when you're making an offer. That's the better chance of the appraisal coming back at value. And everything just, you know, moving through the appraisal. Another one is to maintain good relationships with the agent on the other side, because when you're having to negotiate, if things get tense, it can be, you know, it can be tough, and it can, if parties in the transaction don't think that you're looking out for their best interests, then it can cause them to want to walk. So just make sure that you have nice relationships with cooperating agent, so that if things do get tense, it's a little bit easier to negotiate. There's that one client I told you about that was, the other agent said that my client was difficult. That agent and I had a really good relationship through it all, so it just made it a little bit easier for me to go to her and say, look, this is what my client needs, and this is, you know, so. Set clients' expectations about processes and costs right from the beginning. Letting them know that timelines are really important, deadlines are really important. Communication is really important. Make sure that your buyers and sellers are easy to access, to get in touch with. Just make sure they know the process and know what costs are. How much is it gonna cost them to do a well and septic inspection? How much is it gonna cost them to do a home inspection? So it's really important for them to,
What's the price range on the new septic inspection?
we did, like I said, I have one going tomorrow, and just the septic inspection is $745.
This,
And the other company I talked to, I think it's a little over 800.
the pump and inspect.
Yes. And then communicating quickly and effectively about any issues that pop up. That will help keep things rolling as well. keeping timelines is a great way to make sure you keep a deal moving. In Command, there's a place that you can put contingency dates to keep track of. You can use that if you wish. What works for me is extensive checklists. Very detailed, and I check them daily. And another huge help for me, and this is what I said earlier, I was gonna tell you my secret was using Google Calendar. When I get a new transaction, I put every little task on that calendar. And then I delete it as I do it. If I send an email, so like if I have, file check. And then I put next to it the parties that I'm gonna send the email to. After I've sent that email, I will put in parentheses in front of it, emailed. So then if I go back and look at that task, I know, okay, well, I emailed, did I get a response? And once I've gotten a response from everybody, I delete it off my calendar. My goal every day is to have that little box empty. It rarely happens. That is my goal. If it has not been completed or I have not gotten answers that I need, I leave it there. And so then the next day I'll look back at, things that haven't been done days prior. And also it's easy to move things around. It happens in transactions, timelines get moved, closing gets pushed back a little bit later. Sometimes it gets pushed up earlier, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, whoa, I've got these tasks on this date, which would be after closing, I gotta move it, here, so it's just easy to really move things around on Google Calendar. I could not do my job without Google Calendar. All right. You guys have any questions on, transactions, on timelines? Tasks that are involved in transactions? Our next stop is to move on to like relationships after the transaction. I want to make sure y'all have any. All right.
Your contact information form, like, you just take some time, just go through everybody who's in dealing with the transaction, or do you have like a Google form you send out to everybody's contact?
No, I fill it in myself. The top part has the agent's name and then the buyer or seller's information, and then all the big information like purchase price. I can show it to
It
you.
was something like you self-created.
Yes, there's something I self-created. It also helps me a lot when I'm looking at CD. Actually. Binder. This is my transaction binder. So, yeah. Thank you. I have a tab for each agent. I don't want to pass this around because it has identifying information on it, but I'll kind of show it to you. So at the top is the fees, and then these are just for me checklists, and then I have the agent, in this case, the buyer's information, the address, ratified date, closing date, the contract price, whether it's financed or cash, and then the numbers for that, the EMD, due date, any credit from seller, commission amount, whether it's a referral, because that's a big one. There are extra steps you have to do if it's a referral, and I have to remind myself, that's why it's highlighted. To make sure I do that, home warranty. And then here's all the contacts, the title company, and the assistant, the lender, assistant there. That's for my side, and then the seller side, same thing, and their emails and addresses. Up here is really important for me because when I go to look at the CD, I check off all these numbers. So that I can, yeah, so it's something for me to easily look at instead of going back on the contract and looking at all that stuff. And things change, seller credits change all the time. And it's not, it'll be in an addendum, so I don't wanna have to go back and look at all the contract and all the addendums that go with it, so I just mark it on here if it changes. And sometimes, like the termite inspection might be added for items on CV.
Is that a print off from command or is that a form you created?
I created.
Oh, wow.
I created it, yeah. Yeah, it's really, that is really helpful. I'll just show you, this is my checklist, this is the, buyer checklist. And I have boxes, I have to make sure I check off all the boxes, and then I also have a need to do and waiting on list. I'm often adding things to this waiting on list, addendum, something extra that they got added on. Yeah, if you can't tell, I love checklists. I live by checklists. That is sticky notes. My husband goes crazy because I have sticky notes all over the house.
Right, with my daughter.
But that's how I do that's how I get my job done. All those checklists. Yeah. All right. All right, here we go. Future opportunity. So there's all different opportunities, for you, future clients. Clients that feel like, their experience with you was effortless and special. And that, that everything went smoothly, they're more likely to come back to you if they need to buy or sell a house. And they're more likely to refer you to their friends and family to use you. And that brings us to the ways to get leads from clients. So they talk a lot about gen lead, calling all these people and stuff. Well, a good way to get it is from people you've already worked with and you've already done a really top-notch job for. Asking for referrals. If you have the book, the Ignite book on page 19.9, there is some conversation starters there, some suggestions for you. I just pulled a couple that I feel like I would feel comfortable using. One of them was saying to your client, my business relies on referrals. If you know anyone that is looking to buy or sell, I'd be so grateful if you could let me know. And then another one is, I would appreciate the opportunity to help your friends and family members buy or sell their home. There's multiple of them. Just find one that you're comfortable with, that you feel comfortable saying, and use it over and over again. Just memorize it and use it over and over again. And that's how you can ask for referrals. In addition to referrals, you can ask for reviews. Ask your clients to write up a little small review of how they felt working with you and your service to them. You can take those reviews and put them in Canva and a cute little template and put it on social media. And that lets all your people that are on your social media see, wow, okay, this client really liked this agent. They did a good job for them. Maybe I'll use them, or I'll refer them to somebody I know that needs an agent. It's not a transaction is not just about the commission check. It's also about the relationships that you're building. Because the more you build a relationship, the more they're going to keep coming back or referring you to other people. Every step of the transaction is an opportunity for excellent service. All right. So let's go to those follow up. Referrals. Any questions or anything that you? All right, in order to keep clients, you need to stay top of mind in their mind. What are some things that like as a buyer, you would feel would be helpful to receive, like, or would make you feel good if you received it from your buyer's agent? Kit, yep.
So, close to-
Yeah, some of the basics that they're gonna need when they first move in, yeah. Anything else?
Nothing behind.
vendors list.
Yeah, a vendors list or a contractors list, a
yeah.
vendors list, yeah, vendors list, yeah. What did you say?
Birthday card,
Say it again.
birthday card.
Birthday cards, yeah, yeah, or house anniversary cards, yeah, would be nice that you remember them. What about if they're new to the area?
Local guy.
Relocation guy.
Yeah, relocation guide, a local guide, the directory of, doctors, hairstylists.
Places to go. things
Yeah.
to do.
Restaurants, yeah, things like that, yeah, fun things to do, yeah. And then, you know, maybe a future contact 5 years from buying, what type of information do you think would be good to give them? Market reports, yeah, current value of their home, yeah. Maybe current interest rates. You know, 5 years, they might be thinking, well, maybe it's time to move, maybe they've had a couple babies and they need to move to a bigger place, so the longer you keep in contact with them, the more chance you're gonna get, business back from them. And same type thing for sellers. But what if a seller moves away? What is a reason to stay in contact? Referrals, yeah, yeah, exactly, referrals, yeah.
And they might come back.
Yeah, they
have
might move
family
back.
here.
Or they have family friends that live here, that, you know, say, hey, we're getting ready to move, who was your agent, you know? Yep. All right, so it's good to follow up with your clients, but what are some reasons to follow up with the agent that you worked with? Is it important to build a relationship with them?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Why?
Work with them again, within theirs or such.
Yep, they can help you with a list of vendors, yep. What'd you say, Mom?
You might work with them again.
You might work with them again. Yeah, and if they're like a listing agent and they have multiple offers, they might recognize your name and know, oh, this, you know, person takes this seriously. They, you know, are very helpful and work well together. Can learn more from them, you know. They might have a niche of just a neighborhood they work in, but they get, you know, hear about clients elsewhere, they might refer them to you. Or you could bring them to KW. Put them in your timeline.
Just did an open house the other day and it was condos stacked on top of each other. And so when the person upstairs found out that we were doing an open house, they hosted an open house too.
Oh,
So it was quite literally like they had to pass by ours to go
uh-huh.
upstairs. And so I was like, I'll send them up to you. when you're done."
That's right, yeah.
But she was older and she, "No, I'm trying to get out of the business." And just by doing that simple, she's like, "I'll send people."
Oh,
She went
wow.
to Keller, so.
Yeah, that was great, yeah. Yeah, being kind, just, yeah. All right. That is all that I have for you. Yes, any questions?
My question goes to, entry, so you're new to this business, getting re-entering the business, and you have established relationships that exist. What's your advice, tip to carve your niche, meaning multiple offer situation, agents have been working together with each other for a while, they know each other. What can I do as an agent to position myself to increase my chances of getting my client's offer accepted?
Well, there's,
Knowing that there's a pre-existing, or certainly
right,
that there's a pre-existing relationship.
the best thing you can do is just write the best offer that you can write and put in the best, contingencies.
Understood.
You know, sometimes having taken less time to review documents, taking less time to do an inspection, can stand out in an offer. Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? Well, as a TC, of course, I think that having a TC is helpful. But also being an agent and having to do my own TC work. My husband laughed at me one time, I was saying something about my transaction I had going on. And he's like, why don't you ask your TC to do that? I was like, when I go look in the mirror. So it is really helpful. It does give you back time. And it's just, it is a lot to think about doing real estate transactions. And even having somebody, I've had agents say to me, it's just so helpful to have somebody to bounce things off of. They might call me and say, you know, this is going on, and I may not be able to give advice, but at least I can talk back and forth with them about it and talk through it, with them. And like I said, at the beginning, I do enjoy working with new agents as well, because I get to kind of like walk them through some stuff and help them learn the process. I do think it is important for agents to learn the process and to learn everything that goes in to a transaction. But sometimes it's just easier to learn it along with somebody else. But that being said, I do have a flyer, that you all can take one and pass around. My work starts once a contract is ratified. I do have one tier on there that is for listing agents. And that I will, schedule sign installation, schedule the photographer, order the HOA docs. Those types of things will be done prior to ratification, but that's the only one. The rest of it, once you're ratified, then you would contact me. And then I have an email template that I send to all my agents and ask them to, fill in when they send me a contract. It's just some basic information that allows me to get started processing without texting and calling you constantly. But if you get a contract and you're interested, I would love to talk to you. My phone number and email are on there.
How did you learn? DCC?
I got into the business as an assistant to an agent. So I learned a little bit there, and then basically doing transactions is like, I've gotten more and more and more comfortable with it. I was just thinking in my head a little while ago, I did this class a year ago. And doing it again this year, I felt like so much more knowledgeable and so much more comfortable if you're talking about it, because I've been doing it for 2 years. So it's doing the contracts, doing the transactions. I still tweak my checklist. Yeah, especially, I have some agents where I have specific checklists for them, because they'll, they want me to do a certain thing or do it a certain way. And so I make a checklist specifically for them so that I don't forget. But yeah, that's how I learned by going through transactions. I think there's a slide on here where we're supposed to do evaluation. No, we were really early. I told Patrice, I was like, this is not gonna take me 3 hours.
I do have a question, and I probably should have asked this a little bit back, but kind of roll over to the next thing, which was kind of great. Like, so when you are working with a buyer and there's something that's found wrong with the house, and you're debating whether to get a repair or a credit. I've been in situations where, okay, we negotiate a credit and we end up having to do two different documents. One that goes to the lender that just mentions the.
Yeah.
The credit, because you don't want the lender to know that something wrong was
Right.
found with the house. Like, I think I've kind of got a handle on it now, but can you clarify that and add some context and depth to that? Because every time that I have to get dual documents, I'm like, I'm a little confused and I second guess myself.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
can you cover that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when inspection is done, there's the inspection repair addendum. And the buyer's agent lists on there the repairs that the buyer wants done. And then at the bottom, sometimes it'll say, or we'll take this credit, or we won't accept the credit. So once the negotiations are done, if there's a credit agreed upon, it'll be probably put on that addendum and everybody will sign. But the lender does not want to see repairs. They don't want that going to underwriting. So any addendum you send to the lender is going to underwriting. And they don't want underwriting to see that. They don't want to see that the repairs need to be made on this house. So a separate addendum to purchase agreement needs to be written just stating everyone agrees to a seller credit or a seller paid closing costs credit of $1,500. And everybody has to sign that addendum, and only that addendum goes to the lender. They don't want, and most lenders, I've, had it where we've sent at the beginning when I first started doing this, send them the repair request, they're like, I don't wanna see this. Send it to write up a separate addendum that just lists the credit. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It just is the credit amount.
It just lists the credit amount. That's all they want to
It
see.
took me a while to wrap my head around it. So I'm like, listing
It's not
agents,
working.
especially seasoned ones, are used to doing the
Don't
double
worry about it.
document, and they'll explain to their sellers that this isn't, we just agreed to give the buyer $3,000 to cover the HVAC, whatever. And here's another document, 3,000. This isn't an additional 3,000. You're not paying 6.
Right.
We're just clarifying the simplify things. So listing agents have been good, but like on the buyer side, like it was actually throwing me for a couple transactions.
Cause you thought you were getting additional.
Well, no, I wasn't thinking I was getting additional. I was just the duplication of paperwork. I'm like, okay, did I submit the wrong one at first? So I had to get used to one type is for negotiating, and then once it's agreed upon, you basically save that away.
Right.
And that's once it's ratified and has all the initials, and you keep that just for your records, that this is the conclusion of our negotiation. And then you restate that negotiated credit as just a plain credit that doesn't even say why.
Right.
And you take that's your new document, that goes to the lender. And your other one is only saved in case there's a dispute.
The still point.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps, Jill, are you able to explain the why behind why certain things are not submitted to the lender? Are you able to explain that part? Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, the only reason I think is they just don't want the underwriting to think there's anything wrong with the house.
Correct.
Yeah,
Very collateral.
yeah, that it's gonna
So-
fall apart and yeah,
I talked to a lender about this one time. The underwriters technically work for the same company, but they're almost, if you've ever been in the corporate world, they're almost like auditors. Auditors are charged with almost like if they don't find stuff wrong or to reject, then they are almost on the chopping block for not doing their job. So like an auditor or an underwriter in this case that never finds anything wrong or never finds anything to reject, is gonna be scrutinized as not being tough or not finding them.
Right.
So like, they're always looking for reasons why, you know, because their duty is to protect the company, not approve a loan that's not a good loan. And so they're looking for an excuse, and if you give them something that they were almost ready to reject, and then in comes the credit and it's listing all the stuff wrong with the house,
Yeah,
that might be the only justification they need to combine with their personal bias to reject the loan.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like, don't give them
don't give them a reason to reject the loan. Yeah. Yeah.
Jill, thank you for your class. Enjoy.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. I love having y'all.
You're on.
Okay.